Right that the earth is mine. Burn bright, let the ember shine. You know I'm gonna get it every time. Champion, wearing the crown. I can see my name in lights. Spark from the heart and it shines so bright. Yeah, let the whole world know. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Freight Coach. My name is Chris Jolly. I am your host, and I am the Freight Coach. Before we jump into the episode, as always, thank you guys so much for coming out and listening to this podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. I know you guys are going to get value out of this episode, but if you are not subscribed and you guys do get value, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. So as I get deeper and deeper into the transportation industry, I'm starting to, because I'm a current broker, just been in the industry my whole life. There's so many different avenues that are out there. And one of the biggest issues that is plaguing our industry and our society as a whole is fitness, levels of fitness, obesity, preventable diseases and everything that are out there. And we're going to talk about healthy lifestyle. We're going to talk about exercising out on the road and building that out there. So I got the founder and CEO of Be Lean Fitness, Mr. Brandon Rothrock, on the show today. So Brandon, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, sir, Chris. Appreciate you for having me. Super excited to be here.
No, man, I'm pumped for this because for me, it's been I've struggled just like with a lot of people, man. I've struggled with weight my entire life, and I struggled with a bunch of stuff, and then finally, I did back in 2020. I was just like, I got to change, man. Like it's bad. I was like 250 pounds, and I'm like, I'm drunk, I'm fat, and I'm a fucking loser. And I'm like, I got to change that. And fortunately, I was introduced to the Real AF podcast at that time, Mr. Andy Frisella, and he's like his content alone kind of like fundamentally changed everything for me in every aspect. That's why I'm such a major fan of him. Some people say I'm a fanboy, but that's not, I don't give a fuck, man. The dude's legit and he gives away so much value out there. And what I've came to realize is I was looking at health all wrong. I was looking at it from a standpoint of how do I lose as much fat as fast as I can, and it doesn't matter what I do. I'm just gonna go down these fad diets and these fad things that are out there and completely overlook what I have since found to be the most effective methods that I follow every single day. And so we're going to talk about a lot of that on this show. But dude, what brought you into the fitness space, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it started with my own personal transformation. That's usually where, the conviction takes place is experiencing, if not one, multiple epiphanies,
Mhm.
through something. So, I grew up a three-sport athlete and in high school, solely focused on basketball.
Yeah.
And, around sophomore year, junior year in high school, I really started getting into fitness. Most high schools have strength and conditioning classes, and that's kind of where I guess you could say maybe the desire, a little bit of the interest developed. Um, and, you know, I finished, my high school career playing basketball and was fortunate enough to play JUCO ball.
Mhm.
at the next level, and actually got injured where I had to redshirt my freshman year. So there was no running, there was no playing basketball for at least 7 or 8 months, and all I could really turn to was stationary lifting. So that's where the desire, um, to work out and just learn the industry more, really took place. And if you fast forward, about a year or two later, started, I got certified, in fitness and nutrition, and started personal training, at a local gym, and quickly realized how that wasn't scalable. The
Mhm.
amount of people that I could reach was limited. And of course, I wanted to try to help as many people as possible experience a similar transformation that I did. Um, so, you know, started the company back in 2018. We are a health and fitness consulting company, and today we're known as Be Lean Fitness. But at the time, we had a different DBA, which was Brandon Rothrock Fitness, same company.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's where it began, and I'm sure we'll talk later into the show about how we started working exclusively with truck drivers. But that's where it began with me.
Yeah, and that's honestly what we're gonna lead into right away, man, is what was it about, um, trucking that made you wanna pivot exclusively into this space?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one I'll start with the first thing. There's two things, but the first thing is up until October of last year, we worked with all types of individuals.
Mhm.
People who wanted to lose weight, build muscle, burn fat. And I noticed that one of our best success stories came from an individual who lost 95 pounds. And sure enough, he was an OTR driver, believe it or not. And this was before our program was 100% tailored toward drivers. And that's where the thought initially began, was like, wow, what if we went all in with this demographic, catered our nutrition, our exercise, our accountability, our education towards this demographic? And I just imagine how many drivers we could help. That was the first thing. And then the second thing was, back in late of last year, started doing more research in the industry. And everybody knows that trucker obesity is approximately 70%. Everybody knows that stat. And just started diving deeper into the industry, speaking to hundreds of drivers over the phone to understand their lifestyle and what really goes on in the industry, behind the doors, behind closed doors. And um, another thing we took into account was how our service is set up. We believe in flexibility and adaptability versus restriction,
Yeah,
because the goal is not to lose weight, right? The goal is to lose weight, keep it off, and enjoy your life, not hate what you do,
yeah.
right? So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer at that point, by, obviously talking to many individuals in the trucking industry, well, truck drivers specifically, and also just reflecting on, how our program um, is set up, and just how it works.
Yeah, I think that that is one of the biggest hurdles for the individual to overcome is finding what works for you. And and I think also it's like, where do you want to go with your health? Because I think like it's in gym culture and everything else, like, dude, it is intimidating when you walk into a gym and there's people with like 8% body fat, and they're clearly in shape, and when you're not, like, man, it is intimidating. But I think what most people would be pleasantly surprised is those are the most like um positive people that are in the gym. Like, they want to see you succeed in
Yeah,
everything else. And at least the gyms that I've gone to. And I think that, but the biggest thing is you got to find what works for you, your lifestyle, to where it becomes like a staple inside of it. And that's one thing that I've been working on a lot over these last couple of years, where it's like working out to me is non-negotiable now. It's not like, oh shit, I got to go to the gym, or I got to go work out outside or anything like that. It's like, no, that's like turned into my therapy session, man, because it's like, for
yeah,
me, like, not to sound like too much of a hippie, but there's something about walking outside in the sunshine that just like legitimately calms me down. Like,
yeah,
I haven't ended an outdoor workout, came back inside, and I was like pissed off that I got it done. I was
right.
tired, I was hot, but like it's weird, man, and like, again, I don't
Yeah.
wanna sound like too much of a hippie, but it's the truth, and a lot of the workouts that I've done have been counter to what a lot of fitness people out there do. I do a lot of low weight, high rep workouts when I'm lifting because, like, dude, I'm not trying to be Chris Bumstead, like, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be Mr. Olympia or anything like that. I just wanna look shredded. And I found that that works out really well. And then low impact, like walks outside. Like I walk with intent. I can't carry a ton of weight because I have back issues. So it's like for
Yeah.
me, it's just about getting distance in an amount of time,
Mhm.
and it's low intensity. Oh, it's not like I'm sprinting or running the whole time, but it's like, man, I'm intent on getting my workout done. I try and go for distance out there for my walks, and I've been able to keep weight off, and I've been able to find workouts that work for me that I enjoy doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's key. You found it. You found what works for you. And honestly, I would say, Chris, it would probably be more difficult for you at this point to revert versus to continue going on the path
Yeah.
that you're on.
Yeah.
And that's key. Some people are hearing this and maybe they've been out of shape for 2 or 3 decades. Most of the drivers that we work with, they have been out of shape for a while. We have this one driver named Joanne. She was told by her doctor, um, she was basically lost cause. She
Fuck.
has thyroid issues. She has Hashimoto's disease, and we get a message from her. She messaged her coach within about week and a half, 2 weeks in the program, and she was like crying because she hit a low with her weight that she ain't seen in 2 years.
Man.
But back to what you were saying is like yeah, that is the key, finding what works for you. But like, there's some people hearing this and they're like, sounds good in theory, and the only thing standing between like what we're talking about and where people are is that experience. We
Mhm.
could talk about this all day long, but until you experience the reality of this, it's really not going to hit, you know? And again, I'm speaking from experience,
Yeah.
because before I got in shape and, was into the fitness lifestyle, you could call it, that was me. I was like, man, it sounds good. Everybody talking about it makes it sound easy. Um, so getting that full experience is paramount.
I'll say this, it's simple, it's not easy,
Mhm.
because, the human emotions start to creep in and everything else, and I think that, because you do reach a point in your life where, I think it's like, dude, as soon as most people hit 30, they're just like, "Man, I'm done, like, I'm not gonna I don't want to take," like, they just stop caring about their health essentially, and I almost have it in the inverse, man. Like I was overweight for, like I said, up until I was 34, outside of a brief like year period where I had lost a bunch, but I put it all
Yeah.
back on. And now I've just found like, man, to me, my greatest asset is my health. My greatest asset is that. And I stopped paying attention to a lot of stuff that was out there. And I honestly, the big like, and again, I'm not a fitness anything other than just a dude who's kept weight off for a long time. I think the most important thing for a lot of people to do right away, buy a food scale. Like a good first step is buy a food scale and just start weighing what you're eating and then entering it into MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is free. I'm not associated with them or anything, but that's what I use every single day. And
Yeah.
after I started doing that, like when I first started everything, man, I just started weighing out my food and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to eat anything over 8 ounces of chicken or beef. And I'm
Mhm.
only going to do 200 grams of rice. I didn't know shit, but like that
Yeah.
was the number that I did. And I dropped like 20 pounds in like 40 days, man, just by weighing out my food and like eliminating a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
in it. And I've just come to find, and I would love to learn more about this with you and your clients and stuff like that, where I personally think like 90% of my personal battle is what I eat. Like if I can control that 90% of the time, if I, eat pizza 1 day a week, there's no difference or
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, a couple of things. Number one, going back to like the keeping log of your calories and a food scale, basically what you're doing, from a macro standpoint is you have structure.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, that's key. I mean, and if you think about the life of a truck driver, I know every day in trucking looks different. It doesn't look the same, but there is some sort of structure, right? That goes on. So, I mean, the same thing holds to be true when you're trying to, lose weight, improve your health. You got to have structure. That's where it starts. But, something I want to hit on is like, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but like we specialize in lasting weight loss for truck drivers.
Yep.
And we like to separate healthy habits from weight loss,
Okay.
right? And that goes against what the industry says. You need to eat healthier, you need to watch what you eat. Well, here's the thing, if that was the most helpful, right? Just those canned tips, well, then trucker obesity wouldn't be at 70%. So, we've noticed that if we work with a driver and let's say they've had quote unquote unhealthy habits for a couple decades, to us it really doesn't make sense to have them start eating chicken and broccoli and working out 6, 7 days a week from the get-go.
Yeah.
We like to take into account where they're starting out from and understand what the main goal is, right? I mean, everybody that comes into our program, Road Warrior Wellness, they want to improve their health, but we like to attack the root cause, which is the weight, right? Now, I'm not saying that will absolutely improve your health 100%, but that's going to improve the majority of it, just
Yeah.
attacking the weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think building a routine around it and starting because dude, everybody's at a different level, right? Like there's some people where it's like walking for 10 minutes is a chore.
Hmm.
Like that's a high intensity thing for them. So like I personally think it is it's building into it. It's realizing that like I think that a lot of people should look at it from like a year standpoint. Just, tell yourself like, hey, 12 months from now, July of 2025, this is what I want to look like. And you got to understand like there's a lot of peaks and valleys of this shit. Cause like my biggest battle, and this is still to this day, because like, dude, I still see fat Chris in the mirror when I look at it, which is wild because it's like, I have fucking abs, man. Like I have visible fucking abs when my shirt's off and I
Yeah.
still see fat Chris in the mirror, and I'll be open about that. And I like because to me, it's like I look at the scale and I pay way too much attention to the scale,
Yeah.
as I think a lot of people do, where it's like I don't like, and it's a tough one for me. And this is still something that I struggle with. Is
Yeah.
I'll be very very dialed into what I eat, which I am, and I have to be just from some health stuff that I have. Um, but I'll see the weight creep up, and then I'm just like, my initial thought is I gotta cut, I gotta remove this, and I'm just like, it's real. That's like one of my biggest battles is I'm sure you
Yeah.
have this conversation, man, is when you start working with somebody and then you see results, right? Like you might lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds, and then you jump up 2, 3 pounds, and that, so it's like, how do you work with people on the mental side of that?
Yeah. I mean, that's key. That's key because it's very emotional. It's very easy to get emotional with the weight loss journey and think that maybe you're doing something wrong or maybe this just isn't for you when you hit a quote unquote plateau, when in reality that's part of the game. Um, you know, Concept wise, you got to inspect what you expect. If you expect for weight loss to be linear, then you need to inspect that enough to see if that is actually what sustainable weight loss looks like. And the reality is it's not. So, I mean, something that is mission critical to our program is making sure that each driver is paired with one of our coaches to educate them,
Mhm.
right? So if they happen to hit a number on the scale that puts them a pound or two higher and they get emotional, well, they can have a conversation with their coach, not to just, talk through it, but to be educated and
Yeah.
to reset their expectations. Um, because that's, they say the mental battle is, um, you know, half the battle,
I
right? The
think
mental side is half the battle. And whether, cliche or not, there's a lot of validity to that.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's key. That's
I
key.
think the mental battle is way higher than 50%.
Yeah.
At least if there's an individual out there who's like me, who has struggled with weight the majority of my life and then not feeling like, and then injuries creep in and like, and then like, dude, I'm not old, but like, man, I'm going to be 40 soon. So it's like my body doesn't exactly react the way, but I'm trying to actively fix that. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to reverse a lot of the stuff that I've been diagnosed with because like I hate Western medicine for a lot of what it's kind of out there for. Kind of like with what your client, like you're a lost cause. Like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like I think that we have to find our own sustainability in our own lives based off of what we want and, like, and what our goals are, right? Because like for me, like, and again, everybody's at different levels out there. And I think like thinking about where you want to go with it, and then just I think like starting is, and this is with everything, man. I think starting is literally the hardest part. Um, and then once you can overcome that hurdle, like I think that a lot of drivers out there would be pleasantly surprised on what they can do if and like and what they're capable of in the environments that they work in, right? Because it's
Yeah.
it's a heavy job that you just sit all day long, and it's like the last thing a lot of these individuals want to do when they stop for the night is go work out for an hour, or
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
like dude, it just anybody goes for a road trip. Think about that. You go on a 10-hour road trip. First thing you do when you stop, you fall asleep, right? You want to go to bed. You don't want to fucking go do anything. And so it's like, how are you working with those individuals out there on the road? What is like, say I'm the prototypical driver that falls into the obesity category that's out there. Uh,
Mhm.
what's step one for me look like?
Yeah, this is gonna not be what you probably expect. But it has nothing to do with nutrition. It has nothing to do with exercise. It starts up here.
Mhm.
And that is it's what I like to call decide and finalize. Most people can decide to lose weight, right? They say, "Oh, I want to lose weight," and then they go get their hands on a piece of workout equipment or something, and that's it.
Mhm.
But they don't really finalize their decision up top to the point where they tell themselves, "Look, there is no going back. When times get tough, I'm not going to negotiate with myself and question if weight loss is for me or not." And that's usually like what people do is, they'll decide to lose weight. They'll get into it for a few weeks. They'll have some type of friction, right, with their schedule or whatnot, and then they start to negotiate with their goals.
Mhm.
So it starts by telling yourself, look, there is no going back.
Yeah.
Because if I decide to lose weight in the first place, then I basically have pre-decided that my life would be better with better health,
Yeah.
right? And it's something you're always going to think about, not to like scare drivers, but like um if you've decided to lose weight, it's something you're always going to want to do and think about until you actually do it. So might as well stop thinking about quitting when times get tough and put that, save that energy, time, save your bandwidth and put that on how to prevent, falling off track in the first place and how to course correct and things of that nature. Just save the time, save the bandwidth.
Hey guys, before we go any further in this episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by Denim. As a business owner myself, I personally know the importance of financial stability and preserving cash flow to help navigate through any freight market. With Denim's comprehensive service offering, you now have an all-in-one financial partner whose platform includes factoring, payments, freight audit, document collection management, and analytics, which help keep your business financially healthy and increase your team's time to focus on revenue-producing activities. You can also take advantage of Denim's free credit check, which they perform on all of your customers. And Denim will proactively reach out to you if they spot any signs of credit deterioration. Finally, Denim always pays your carriers first. As a broker, this is imperative to preserving your credit score in the market, which ultimately helps you become a broker of choice to your carrier partners. Are you ready to learn more? Visit denim.com to schedule a demo today. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
And and honestly, man, like this is why I'm such a fan of like the 75 hard program that's out there, because it is 90% mental. It is more of a mental program that just gives you a ton of physical benefits when you follow it to a T.
Yeah.
And you can plug and play any workout in there, any eating, obviously you can't eat shit on there, but like you can plug and play any of that. Cause like I'm actually in the middle of Live Hard. So I've completed 75 hard back in 2022. And then at the beginning of this year, I was just like, I'm doing Live Hard in 2024. Like, I'm not negotiating. I'm doing Live Hard this year. So it's like I started off. I already did 75 hard phase one, and then I'm going to be starting phase two here. And I waited to start phase two because like I want it to be like the most miserable weather conditions in Arizona, and that's July/August in
Yeah.
Arizona, because like otherwise, man, weather's fucking perfect here like 98% of the time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that. But like what I love the most about it is again, it's not easy, but it's simple. It's a simple thing to follow. Anybody of any fitness level can go in there. And again, it's that mental thing. It's that you have to stop negotiating with yourself because you're your best sales rep to yourself on why you shouldn't do something or why it's okay that you do this. And again, like I think like for me, it's one of those situations that once you make that decision, like you said, man, I think what you said there is very, very effective. And I hope people actually understand that. When you decide that like enough's enough, you have to understand that you're not gonna want to fucking do it. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be literally the hardest thing you ever do, but you got yourself to this position. And this is it's like internal dialogue, Brandon, that I have with myself every single day when I don't want to get up because like I've structured my day where I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, that is not required. I am not saying that at all, but that is hard for me. I
Yeah.
don't want to get up at that time. I'm naturally an early riser. Like I naturally wake up at like 4:30 in the morning anyways, but 3 a.m. goes off, I don't wanna do it. That's the
Sure.
last thing I wanna do, and I'm like, every morning, I'm like, "Fuck," and then I get up, and then I built up that discipline where I do that, and then by the time I'm done at the gym by, like, 5 in the morning. I already accomplished a major victory of my day, and that's what I try and control. I wanna start my day on a win every single day, like,
Yeah.
that I possibly can, and it was building up that routine that I follow where again, it's like, I'm not on a diet. I'm not on a meal, but this is just how I eat now. You know, like I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol anymore, and I'm never gonna drink alcohol ever again because I don't drink anymore, you
Yeah.
know? And then I've just like this is just what I tell myself, and I've built up a routine around it that I follow. Like this is just my life now. This is the life that I am living every single day. And what I'm starting to realize is holy shit, I'm way more capable than I ever thought I was. No, it doesn't make it easier, right? Like I still have all of those mental battles with myself
Yeah.
every single day, but like what I found is there's a lot of great content to consume out there. And then again, once you've committed to it, like you like again, it's that burn the boats mentality, man. There is no going back. And I
Yeah.
think once you can work on that and that's why it is, it's like, hey, just win the day. All right, just win the day. And that's like because to me, that's the biggest takeaway from 75 hard for me is you know what? When shit seems insurmountable, because real life is going to come at you no matter what, right? There's going to be death in the family, breakups, there's going to be business failures, personal failures, all that stuff that's going to happen when it gets into those moments, man, like, I'm just like, I just gotta win today. Like, I don't care about tomorrow. And when I've actually simplified my life to that, and then when shit gets like really fucking bad, Brandon, I'm like, you know what? I just gotta win the next hour. That's it. If I win the next hour, then I will worry about right now it's noon. If I win 12 till 1 o'clock, I will worry about 1 to 2 when I get there. And, and I think, like, deducing things down to that singular level and that easy of a level, again, this is just what's worked for me out there.
Yeah. And that's key. I mean, you found what works for you and, you know, not only have you, applied it to your fitness, but it sounds like you have applied it to your professional life, so the concept works in many different areas, but going back to your fitness, I mean, you essentially have found how to get fit your way. And
Yeah,
our slogan is we teach drivers how to lose weight your way.
I love that.
Because again, nobody wants to lose weight. Um, everyone wants to lose weight, keep it off, and enjoy the life that they live. And the only way they're actually going to have a high probability of doing that is to have it their way to an extent, right? So I mean, winning the hour, winning the day, winning the week, starting small. I mean, that's the foundation of how habits are built,
Yeah,
right? Make it easier. That's one of the key pieces to building habits is to make the process easier. Like for our drivers who struggle with drinking too much pop and not enough water, first and foremost, we never just have them cut it out completely. We take into account where they're starting out from, where they would like to be. Because some drivers say up front, like I can vividly remember a guy that I was talking to a couple weeks ago. OTR driver, he's like, I don't really want to give it up. And I was like, well, that doesn't mean you can't lose weight. We can do both. Right. And I know that sounds like crazy because like, sure, for him to reach optimal health, he probably should like go away from all those things. But again, um, he has probably 100 pounds to lose. He's going to experience so many epiphanies during his journey and probably be more open minded to like, making another tweak to his habits. Right. But you don't have to do everything at once. And getting back on track here to the habit of, drinking pop and soda, we definitely don't have drivers cut it out completely. We reduce a little bit. Right. And then we also one easy, tip to help drivers start drinking more water is to make the water visible. If you zoom out and you look at the foundations of habits, one of the easiest ways to build or break a habit is to make the habit visible or invisible,
Mhm.
right? So if you want to, start drinking more water, have it visible. Now I know it's not magically gonna, go in your mouth if you have it next to you, but the likelihood of you actually getting your hands on it and taking a sip is much higher as opposed to not having it, in your surroundings.
What are your thoughts on like you brought up soda there, like you don't want them to stop entirely. Is the goal long term to get them to realize fundamentally in their head, like, hey, it's so much better for me to drink water over soda and then just not drink soda anymore at all?
Absolutely. There's two sides to the equation. The first side is like we educate our drivers on the most optimal way, to lose the weight and keep it off. But that's not necessarily where we start them out from. So like we let them have it their way, right? So we educate them on like what would be best case scenario, but we also say, hey, if you're unwilling to do that, here are the principles and parameters you have to stay within, and you actually could have the best of both worlds. You could still have that soda and lose weight and keep it off.
Mhm.
But again, the ironic part about this is once we start weaning them off soda and off pop, they actually crave it less, and they start
Yeah.
to crave not necessarily water, but they crave the benefits of water, more
Mhm.
energy, less bloated, less bloatingness, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we have to keep in mind what the drivers are willing to do, so that we can help them, at the highest level possible for that individual.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you from the stance of like you can't just upend your current situation immediately because I think that that probably drives people back to it 100 times out of 100 would be my assumption. If you're like, all right, you can never eat burgers ever again, you can never drink a soda ever again, you're done with it. That just causes people to fail and go back to it. But like, so how are you working with drivers on eating out on the road, right? Because obviously it's a big
Yeah.
thing and nobody wants to choose a salad, but like dude, I've found again inside of my diet, inside of the way that I eat is like I was saying, I have moderate carb, I have high fat, high protein, and that's something that I am following every single day. So it's like when I go out to eat, for example, I will always order like if I'm going out to eat, I think the best like method, at least for me, is just to get a steak or a chicken breast, or like a chicken Caesar salad or something like that, and just get additional protein on it. Um, but, it's like, dude, I eat Chipotle, because again, it's just like I just have them do half scoops of rice. Like I'll look at them and be like, no, half scoop of rice if I'm going to a certain restaurant and stuff like that. And then it's also stocking up on like if I'm going like I travel a decent amount. So it's like before I fly, man, I always get sugar-free beef jerky because that's another killer out there is there's sugar in like literally everything.
Mm.
So I get
Yeah.
sugar-free beef jerky and protein bars. And that's my snack, and that's always a good filler if I'm out on the road and, because sometimes when you get into some of these airports or how many of these drivers get into some of these truck stops and the restaurants are closed for the night, and
Yeah.
the only thing that's available is a bag of chips, essentially.
Yeah, it's either eat unhealthy or don't eat at all.
Yeah.
And drivers, and I don't blame them because I would too. I would choose the former. So, you know, with our drivers, right, that are trying to lose weight, we always educate them on the fact that quantity of food always trumps quality in terms of weight loss. And it sounds crazy, right? It's like, I'm basically saying you don't have to eat healthy to lose weight, and that's true, right? That's not optimal, right? I mean, it's not optimal, but that's where it should start. If a driver wants to lose weight, the quantity of food is where they need to begin. And if we're working with a driver who's been out of shape for 2 decades and has predominantly started eating unhealthy food, it's going to be very unlikely for them to switch 50% of their nutrition or 75% of the nutrition to healthy foods, right? Because you have to take into account the adherence rate, right? So since we know that they want to lose weight and they want to improve their health, we start with just getting them losing weight first,
Mhm.
right? By focusing on the quantity. Now, we absolutely recommend healthy options, okay, out of the gate, but they also have to be open minded to that. And that's for them to decide. But regardless of how healthy they eat as they begin, as long as they stay within certain parameters and principles that we establish, they will 100% still lose weight.
Do
Right.
you
And then the goal with that is to over time evolve that into healthier habits. And, think about it. If a driver is, 400 pounds and we have him just focus on the quantity first and maybe, a few healthy meals and he loses 20 to 25 pounds, imagine how much better he's going to feel just from that.
Yeah.
His energy is going to be up, his mental clarity is going to be improved, and he's going to be more open minded to maybe tweaking a meal in the morning or a snack, and that's how it goes. But that's where I see a lot of drivers go wrong is they start with quality versus quantity, and they'll start eating super healthy, but they won't be actually eating enough. And then they'll get super deprived after a few days, then they'll binge eat and they're like, this isn't for me. So quality absolutely matters. I don't want to,
Yeah.
get things misconstrued, but quantity also matters as well, especially when it comes to losing weight and keeping it off.
Are you working with them on trying to prep their own meals and stuff like that and do that so there is food that is available to them? And, because for me, I think that I'm no busier than anybody else out there, right? So I don't want to make it sound like I'm, you know, anything that I'm not, but like I have found that if I prep my meals, I will follow that. Like I
Yeah.
because again, like it's just like it's just like with me wearing the same orange polo damn near every single day and a couple of black branded polos here. I literally just wear the same stuff and I've just found like because for me I have addictive tendencies, like, I really do, and,
Yeah.
like, I've just it's so much easier for me to do the same shit every single day. Some people might say I'm psychotic or have
I'm
ADD,
right there with you, man.
but,
Yeah.
like,
I feel
dude,
the
I
same way.
I do the same thing every single day, right? Like, I get up at
Yeah.
the same time. I follow my same routine for the most part. I eat the same foods every single day. I've just found that that works for me, and I found that if I prep my meals, I will it's so much easier for me to just go heat up my lunch than it is to think for 20 minutes what sounds good. Oh, that doesn't sound good. And then I'm wasting time. So I've just
Yeah.
again, I've almost built a system around how I eat as well.
Yeah. No, I mean that it kind of goes back to what I alluded to earlier, which is like finding what works for you. And to be clear, I think if every driver prepped their meals, they would have a very high probability of staying on track. But you also have to we also have to take into account them being open minded to do that and maybe the supplies that they have in their truck. Some of our drivers don't even have a microwave. Don't have a fridge. The majority of them do, but there's a lot of factors that you have to take into account. So at the end of the day, we like educating drivers on what would be an ideal routine,
Yeah.
but meshing that with what they're open to doing and what their, schedule and their lifestyle looks like. Right.
So what's the biggest thing that anybody out there who's listening to this that is a driver or hell, they're not a driver, man. They're just like they're in the industry, they just want to improve their health and where does everybody start? Like from your position, I know we've been kind of, touching on multiple different things and at least for me, it's like you got to work on, weighing out your food. At least this is what worked for me the most is weighing out your food and then going kind of like attacking, like you had said, attacking it meal by meal. Like, hey,
Mhm.
Every day at lunch, I'm going to eat steamed rice and a protein, whether it's, chicken sausage or ground beef or ground turkey. I'm just going to eat that. And then I slowly started to build that up around there. Um, where can somebody start, man? Like, how does anybody take everything that we're hearing right now and be like, all right, dude, today's the day. I'm building up a system around my life to fix this.
Yeah. There's so many routes, someone could take, especially a driver. And I'll share those. But I think at the end of the day, what it boils down to is you have to ask yourself, and you got to be honest with yourself, what's going to give me the highest probability of following through? What are your options? Well, you could take everything we're saying and go apply it and go through some trial and error, right? You could do more research, right? And then start implementing. You could purchase a program, right? That just tells you what to do. And of course, if you're a driver that has loose weight to lose, you could join Road Warrior Wellness. And we don't just tell drivers what to do; we educate them, right? But all in all, there's so many options out there, but you got to start applying something, right? And maybe this information is enough, for people to take with them and start seeing results. But it kind of goes back to being honest with yourself and having enough confidence to be able to apply the things consistently, without throwing in the towel.
I think that simple is so much more effective when it comes down to where a lot of individuals are at in their fitness journey, or if they're at that time or at that point in their life where like, hey, I got to change. I think like for me personally, man, it's like the more simple the better. Like every driver has access
Oh yeah.
to a parking lot, right?
Yep.
Like I just walk or I would say just like for me, it's like, dude, just do 2 laps, right? Do 2 laps around the parking lot at the truck stop or wherever it is, or at the rest area. Walking is, I think, where everybody needs to start, depending on where they're at.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want to get sued here, so consult with a physician, because I'm not your doctor or anything like that. Consult with a physician, but it's like I think the most people who are like, they were just like us, man. They grew up playing sports, but it's kind of been thrown to the wayside. Things have gotten out of hand. They know it. They tell
Mhm.
themselves like they want to be in shape. I think it's like for me, man, just doing what your body is designed to do and just move. Like, do you follow Lane Norton at all on social media?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, so he put some good he put out, so he's a biologist
Yeah.
and, also like a nationally ranked power lifter and everything, I believe, as well, but he had put some stuff out there about the levels of people's I forget what it was exactly about the difference of them just walking for 20 minutes 3 times a week and what that did to somebody's blood over like a 30 or a 60-day period. I forget the
Yeah.
exact timeline on it, but it was very simple. It was very simple steps, and I think that the biggest problem with and this is a general statement, but, like, with
Yeah.
with the fitness culture that is out there is when you look at somebody and you see where they're at today, and you're like, "That's not possible for me." And that's why I think more practical conversations like this about fitness to really break that stigma that just
Mhm.
because somebody's in shape doesn't mean that they didn't work their ass off to get there or they weren't and I love the people who were like obese and now they're ripped. And they
Yeah.
because they are like the majority of the people that I've followed about this stuff, Brandon is it's this more simple the better,
Yeah.
and I think like
Absolutely.
it's simple to make it sustainable for you to follow because it's like, dude, it's gonna be it's tough. It's even tough for the people that are in shape, but
Mhm.
here's what, for me personally, I was miserable on every level of my life when I was obese. Every level of my life. I knew I was better than where I was, but it caused me a bunch of shit, man. And I just know from where I'm at today and what I'm working on to
Yeah.
get to where I am because like ultimately I will be at 10% body fat at the end of this year. And like I just know overcoming all of this, like, I look at, like, if you can overcome yourself, like, what can't you overcome? Like, honestly,
Yeah.
when it fundamentally boils down to it, you're the only one that's stopping you, unless you have some serious health issues, but again, that's why I said go consult with your doctor about this, but, like, legitimately, you're the only one that's stopping you. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but when I was fucking 50, 60 pounds overweight, everything was uncomfortable at all moments. I couldn't fit into my clothes, sweating profusely throughout the day, did not matter. And it's just like, it is really, it's just boiling down to choose your hard, man. Choose your
There's
hard.
gonna be a cost either way. There's gonna be a cost either way. We like to tell our drivers whether they invest in their health or they don't. If they invest in their health and, let's say with our drivers, they invest their time, energy, and finances, that's one cost. But the other cost is dealing with the excess weight, the health issues that not only could cost you financially to the point where you, um, lose your CDL, but it's also going to cost you physically and emotionally. So I think that's a great point that you made. It's gonna cost either way, man.
Yeah, and I just look at it like this, man. Like I want to live to 100, man. Like I'm almost 40. Like, bro, I don't like time's running out. It is for all of us. And
Yeah,
I wish that there was more of an emphasis out there. I wish more people would realize that, man, like, no, being healthy doesn't guarantee that you're going to live forever, obviously, but like, however much time any of us have left, I want that quality of that time left to be of the highest levels possible. Like I want to
100%.
be able to run around and enjoy my life. I don't want to be, like stuck in a fucking little like a scooter and shit like that because I can't walk around and everything else that goes on with it. It's just like, man, I know those people aren't happy. I know that the majority of people who are overweight aren't happy because I wasn't happy. I was fucking miserable, like I was saying. And it's just, yeah, there's a lot of uncomfort that comes along with this, but like, I don't like, I don't want an early grave, man. And truck drivers already have I forget, like 17 years. Is
They
that
say
what it is?
17 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
17 years shorter lifespan than everything else. Imagine what you could do if you focused on again, like don't overlook what you can accomplish in a year. Don't even overlook what you could accomplish in 6 months if you actually focus on, all right, enough's enough. I don't want to be fat anymore. I want to get this in shape. And then that momentum starts going. And then, man, like it's amazing how much more once those results start coming in, how much more like you want to double down on what you're doing.
Absolutely. Pre-deciding, finalizing your decision about losing weight, and getting healthy. That's where it starts. And, you know, it's kind of good to give yourself a timeline so you have a target and you can measure, at least with your weight. But like at the same time, don't make it a all or nothing thing. Like technically you don't have to be a certain weight by a certain date, right? As long as you're heading in the right direction and you're making improvements, then and you're continuing to stack wins, then you're going to have enough momentum built up, and it will be much easier to continue staying the course. And before you know it, you'll blink and you're down 30 pounds, 50 pounds, your energy's up, your mood's up, and like a lot of parts of your life has changed. And I guess that could be, you know, pointed back to you taking care of your health and your fitness.
Amen, man. Brandon, how does anybody reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if any drivers are listening to this and they want to achieve lasting weight loss, then they can go to our website, beleanfitness.com, and that's the letter B, leanfitness.com. They can find us at Be Lean Fitness on Instagram and Facebook, or me personally on LinkedIn. You can just type in Brandon Rothrock.
Perfect. Brandon, I appreciate your time. And if you guys made it this far in the episode, which I'm sure you did, and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Right that the earth is mine, burn bright, let the ember shine. You know I'm gonna get it every time. Champion, wearing the crown. I can see my name in lights, spark from the heart and it shines so bright. Yeah, let the whole world know. Let's go, let's go, let's go.